Hello, I'm Hannah Wallace and welcome to FinextraTV. With me now is Shriyanka Hore, Head of Market Infrastructures at Swift. Shriyanka, it's good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here again.
It's really good to see you again. And we're talking about the interoperability of payment platforms, a really interesting one. And that's really where I want to start. Why is this such a hot topic in the financial services industry today?
At Swift, interoperability has always been a topic of focus. That's one of the reasons we exist. Over the last 50 years, we've made financial markets interoperable through our network, our community of banks, our market infrastructures, and our partner ecosystems. But you're right, it is a topic of key industry focus at the moment. And there's a little bit of background to it. Over the years, with digital payments on the rise, there has been a lot of new payment initiatives, innovations that have come about, and customer expectations have been reset in terms of speed, cost efficiency, accessibility to payment systems. And with this proliferation, there's also the challenge of fragmentation, lack of standardization, and that's where the need for interoperability kicks in.
Yeah.
In 2020, there was a paper published by the G20 on the enhancement of cross-border payments, and that paper served as a point where the industry kind of came together and it became a topic of collaboration. It became a topic of synchronized and coordinated effort, I would say. So yes, interoperability is a top focus for every single event that you will go to this year.
Well, thank you very much for setting the scene for us there. And there's no doubt we've seen a number of initiatives springing up from those central banks and the market infrastructures, haven't we? So perhaps you could take us through some of those.
Absolutely. There are indeed a number of initiatives underway. Swift has been involved in different capacities. In some places we are consulted, in some places we co-design, and we look forward to enhancing, embracing these initiatives as they progress along the way. Way back in 2020, there was the TIPS Buna interlinkage where Swift played an enabler role. We've been advising TCH and EBA as they go about designing the IXP solution. And there is also the concept paper by the BIS called Nexus, which is looking to be adopted by the ASEAN countries. So we've been consulted on that, and there is an element of standardization which we've offered to Nexus as well. In all of these initiatives, they're more exploratory. And as we study them, we see different elements of design, bilateral links, multilateral hub and spoke models with centralized orchestration, decentralized orchestration, and different best practices being advocated by the schemes. So there is a path to adoption, a path to synchronized efforts on governance and establishing best practices that are still underway. But we've seen considerable effort from schemes as they update their regulations to accept cross-border payments in domestic instant payment rails. The UK has launched payments originating overseas as a scheme. We see EPC about to launch the OLO rulebook later this year. And then we also have the IFTI scheme on Australia's new payment platform down the roadmap. So these are all great efforts and the industry coming together to make interoperability a reality.
All right, that's really interesting. And you've alluded there to perhaps this interoperability challenge. So do you think interlinking is the only way to solve that problem? What about that?
Well, absolutely not. Swift has been enabling interoperability in different ways. Achieving interoperability can be done through different models: common currency areas, extension of existing payment schemes to new jurisdictions. Corresponding banking itself is a way to ensure interoperability. If you ask me, banks today can transfer cross-border payments on their internal rails instantly, but they come to Swift for the access to 4 billion accounts on our network, for the ability to get synchronized adherence to scheme SLA guidelines such as the GPI, the SWIFT Go. The easiest way is for market infrastructures to adopt the same levels of these SLAs for minimally invasive, minimal investment approach to interoperability. We heard from the community loud and clear earlier this year that they do see these interoperability initiatives as inevitable, but they do see them regional and focused on bilateral currency corridors. And they want Swift to play a role towards enabling universality global scalability to these initiatives. The UETR, which is the golden identifier to identify a payment, that needs to be respected even when the proliferation of these regional initiatives takes place. The ability to use the GPI tracker as the source of truth for where a payment originates and where it settles and how it moves across different payment jurisdictions. The standardization of information exchange through ISO 20022 standards. We've established the IP Plus, which is the Instant Payments Plus market practice. The adoption of that could be an enabler. These are all community investments. This is co-owned by the community, and they've spent years of industry effort to establishing these. So the ability to adopt them now can become an accelerator to these initiatives. But there's not one way to solve it, if you ask me.
That's really interesting. There's no doubt we've come a long way, and it's certainly a space to watch. So tell me, what's next then, and what is Swift doing in this space in the future?
Well, later this year, the Transaction Manager goes live. It is a globally proven platform built to scale, to support not just correspondent banking flows, but all initiatives adjacent to correspondent banking that emerges. It can now solve for interoperability, where we look at different models, bilateral, multilateral, orchestration, all on one platform. It can converge on the transaction management platform. So we are ready to solve for the next step of interoperability in a way. Our pre-validation service is a very powerful tool to avoid friction in the payments value chain, where we can preempt whether the beneficiary account actually exists. Now, linking this towards existing confirmation of payee schemes, where in the domestic market space, can be a powerful accelerator for senders and a very attractive proposition for receiving markets.
Right.
And our deep focus on experimentation this year is on CBDCs. We continue to work with the central banks to ensure that as we move from fiat currency to new ways of new flows of money on the platform, that there is interoperability between fiat and digital currency systems and between the different technology platforms that will emerge. So yes, we are ready. We're looking forward, and we stay 100% committed to our promise of secure, instant, frictionless payments on our network.
It's a fascinating topic, and as I say, watch this space. But Shriyanka, thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Thank you very much, Hannah, for having me. Thank you.